important moment starts, yes, and we will start our seminar. Unfortunately, I'm not a supervisor of Xeniya, so I don't know a lot of details about this wonderful person. I can only tell you what's written in her bio. Yes, that she is our, of course, PhD candidate in our department. That's much I know. She's also holding a Hong Kong PhD fellowship, but she had her bachelor's degree from the in teaching English as a foreign language from Eurasian National University in Astana, and master's degree in multilingual education from Nazarbayev University in Astana. In case you don't know, they're both very high prestige universities, okay? So we have a very important graduate here. So as you can see from the title, Xeniya has focused on multilingual policies and practices in Hong Kong. And previously, I don't know, what did you do for your master's degree? Maybe you can share with us a little bit. Is it your PhD based on your some results or insights from your master's, or it is a totally new area?
Yeah, it's partially based on the results, but the previous study I was doing in the context of Kazakhstan.
Oh, okay.
So now it's a little bit different context, but
so then you can compare. We will ask you questions. Okay. So, as I said, if it is Isohan, I can tell you a lot, but okay, your presentation will tell us everything about your research interest, about your achievement, what you're planning to do, yeah? Because I also find out that you've published a bit and you contributed to the discourses in the area.
Yes, I haven't published yet, but have plans to.
Okay. Maybe this is my interpretation. Okay, so shall we start?
Yeah, shall we start? Thank you so much, Dr. Pavlova, for introducing me. And thank you everyone for joining today's seminar, where I will talk about my PhD project, which I'm still working on. But at this stage, I'm really happy to share with you some of my findings. And as you have already noticed, it's called Multilingual Policies and Practices in Higher Education, case study in Hong Kong. And should I just... I was trying to click on it. Yeah, this is a plan for my presentation. First, I will introduce some research background, discuss my purpose and research questions, discuss literature review, my conceptual framework, move on to research methodology, findings, and make conclusions.
Looks like a practice for a viva. Imagine yourself to be a committee. Think about serious
Why not?
questions.
Yeah.
Okay?
For me, it is like a trial version of my viva. So to introduce you into the topic a little bit, I need to define and provide some historical background of multilingualism in Hong Kong. As you can see on the slide, that before the colonization, Hong Kong was populated by people speaking Cantonese, Fujianese, and some Chinese dialects. And then under the British rule, English became an official language. But still, the majority of the population, of course, they were using Cantonese for their daily communication. And in 1974, Chinese was also given a status of official language due to some social movement. And after the 1997, after the handover of Hong Kong to mainland China, Hong Kong still remained to be multilingual, with English and Chinese being co-official languages. And that was at the time when the government introduced biliteracy and trilingualism policy, which means that every citizen, basically in Hong Kong, is expected to master proficiency in written proficiency in English and Chinese, and oral proficiency in English, Cantonese, and Filipino. Now there are three languages that are important in Hong Kong context. This is Cantonese. It's a vernacular language and it represents a unique Hong Kong identity. Also, English is quite important because Hong Kong is a huge international financial center, and English is also used by many people in Hong Kong who are of non-Chinese ethnic origin. And Putonghua has been gaining importance since the handover, and it is still significant in the context of Hong Kong due to the links, due to the economic and political links to mainland China. And now on this slide, I'd like to talk a little bit about multilingualism in higher education in Hong Kong. And as you can see, English is used for most of the subjects as medium of instruction, and alongside Chinese. Chinese is also used in many universities as a medium of instruction. Putonghua is taught as a mandatory course, and also there are other foreign languages that are offered for students as courses. And also there is one more factor that contributes to multilingualism and diversity in Hong Kong higher education. And this is the students' diverse ethno-linguistic backgrounds. Apart from the local Chinese students, the student population includes international students, mainland Chinese students, and ethnic minority students from South and Southeast Asian backgrounds. So given these two factors and the diversity of the universities in Hong Kong, the university policymakers are strongly encouraged to revisit their policies in order to cater for the needs of all student groups. But despite the fact, it has not been sufficiently addressed in research, which is why I set my goal to explore how multilingualism is addressed in university policies and experienced by students in one university in Hong Kong. And I set two research questions that were guiding me. The first one was mainly to contextualize the study and to analyze how multilingualism and language issues are addressed in policy documents and perceived by university staff and faculty members. And the second research question was to look at the students' experiences of language use in and out of the classroom in relation to their language investment and capital acquisition and conversion. And here I would like to briefly mention some of the highlights from my literature review. So when analyzing the literature, I noticed that many studies are focusing on the initiatives of different universities to promote internationalization and English medium of instruction as one of their milestones to achieve internationalization. But it can slightly signal the mostly monolingual orientation of those universities towards English. But in spite of this, the studies showed that students actively engage into multilingual practices, which is why some of the researchers made the conclusion that there is a disbalance between policy and practice. And also, I just wanted to give examples of a few studies. They basically reach the same conclusions that I have just mentioned. But here I wanted to point out that many studies conducted in Hong Kong and other countries, they were focusing on the experiences of local students, and they weren't really exploring the institutional context. Just focusing on the stakeholders' experiences, which is why I considered it as a research gap, and I tried to contribute to filling this gap by involving the variety of student populations, including local students, mainland Chinese students, international and ethnic minority students, and comparing the experiences. And also I consider the interaction between students' experiences and the university policy context. Here I'd like to explain briefly which concepts I used for my conceptual framework. So as you can see, I adopted the concept of translanguaging. This helped me to analyze the students' experiences, students' multilingual experiences. And I also adopted the concept of investment and concept of capital from the investment model introduced by Darvin and Norton. This helped me analyze in more detail the students' experiences, and I used this figure to illustrate that students can invest in multilingual practices to accumulate different forms of capital, including cultural, social, and economic capital, but also they can enter the university being equipped with some forms of capital, and this can also have an influence on their investment experiences. And on this outer layer, these are the contextual factors. Here you can see the institutional policies and ideologies, and this can also affect the students' experiences. So for my research methodology, I used a qualitative case study approach where one university was used as a research site. My research sample included administrative and teaching staff and students, undergraduate students coming from various ethno-linguistic backgrounds. My main data collection methods included document analysis, where I analyzed, there were 17 documents that I found on the university websites, and I targeted only those documents that reflected upon some multilingualism and language issues in the university. I also held semi-structured interviews with 3 staff members, 3 faculty members, and 24 students, and where each 6 of the students were representing different ethno-linguistic groups. That was necessary for my study. And also before the interviews, I had asked students to write short essays reflecting on their language use experiences on campus. Yes, that was before each interview. In the total, I had 24 of those essays. And to analyze my data, I was using content analysis approach, and I took some measures to ensure that my study complies with ethical standards. So moving on to the findings, the document analysis showed that the university is highly committed to promoting multilingualism on campus, and to be precise, multilingual skills and languages are seen as one of the tools for the university to achieve its mission of developing students and staff's global perspectives and creating multilingual and multicultural environment on campus. Mainly, the university focuses on developing students' biliteracy and trilingualism skills, which includes Cantonese, English, and Putonghua, and also certain focus was made on developing their skills in other foreign languages. And for doing so, the university is eager to provide various learning opportunities through the formal learning, teaching, and assessment policies, including medium of instruction policy, language exit requirements policy, and internationalization policy. These were basically the 3 university policies that were directly related to the language issues and multilingualism. Yeah, and also this can be achieved according to the document with the help of the university department and faculties. From the data that I gained with the university staff, I can tell that all the participants are facing multilingualism and language issues to different extents in their daily administrative work and teaching. In specific, they may participate in students in enhancing students' language skills, in implementing medium instruction policy, especially it relates to English medium instruction policy. And also they, oftentimes they use multilingualism to facilitate their teaching and communication with the students. And here I just wanted to highlight the major findings. One of them is that some of the faculty members, they resort to use translanguaging or multilingualism in class. That means sometimes when they teach in English, they can shift to Cantonese or to Putonghua just to help students, local and mainland Chinese students who struggle with EMI. And this also been confirmed by other studies conducted in Hong Kong. But overall, all the participants emphasize the importance of using English because there are different groups of students and they need to make sure that all groups of students are included in the discussion. And for administrative staff, since all the participants who I interviewed, they were local, and actually most of the students on campus are local Chinese students. So for them, the biggest challenge was to address the needs of all students group and engage ethnic minority students and international students into the activities they organize, which is why they prioritize from their responses, they prioritize advancing their English skills so that they can communicate more effectively, and that would be really beneficial for their work communication, which has also been found by research not in Hong Kong though, but in other countries. So one conclusion out of this that I made is that both faculty members and institute staff, they recognize the diversity of the student population on campus, and they emphasize the importance of addressing the needs of all student groups. Moving on to the students, the findings also show that they engage actively into translanguaging and into multilingual campuses every day in class and out of class, and there are certain reasons for it. So as many participants reported, so their multilingual investment can be due to their intention to gain certain benefits out of it, and those benefits mostly related to accumulating cultural capital, social capital, and economic capital. And actually, a cultural capital was the most popular response among the students. So that means that from multilingual investment, they can gain benefits, including some opportunities for their current and future studies, also cultural learning, getting access to different resources in foreign languages. For social capital, almost all the participants mentioned that, meaning that investing in multiple languages can help them communicate with different people, expand their social networks, also can help them with socialization when traveling overseas, and in case if they want to immigrate to different countries. And economic capital actually has not been mentioned by quite a lot of the participants, because many of them were just at the beginning of their studies and they didn't have clear career plans. But anyways, they mentioned that they intend to invest into their native languages and also into the three languages and other foreign languages, and they see it as really advantageous for their employability in the future. So despite their perception being quite positive about the potential benefit that they can gain in the future, their current experiences in class and out of class on campus might be hindered by their lack of linguistic capitals. And talking about their in-class experiences, it mostly relates to the accumulation of their cultural capital. All of the students, all groups of students reported having challenges with English medium of instruction, even though international and ethnic minority students, they showed more confidence when talking about English medium of instruction. In the meanwhile, local and mainland Chinese students, whenever they struggle, they can resort to their possessed capital, that is Cantonese and Putonghua, and they can use that to facilitate their learning. Compared to local and mainland students, international and ethnic minority students, they do not always have this opportunity to use their native languages to scaffold their learning. And that means that their linguistic capital is not always valued in this context. And sometimes even they can struggle when students and teachers shift to Cantonese or to Putonghua during the lesson, and this can affect their content comprehension. And this has also been evidenced by some studies conducted in Hong Kong. Now moving on to students' experiences out of the classroom. And here the study shows that student socialization experiences can also be affected to a certain extent by the insufficient level of linguistic capital. Campus environment is mainly Cantonese speaking, and since international and ethnic minority students, and even some of the mainland Chinese students, they lack proficiency in Cantonese, which is why they experience a lot of challenge and why socializing out of the campus, out of class, which has also been evidenced by some of the studies, but those studies focused only on the experience of ethnic minority students. And because of that, because of these socialization issues, it sometimes leads to student segregation on campus, meaning that they form separate groups based on their ethno-linguistic backgrounds. Based on that findings, I would like to highlight some of the main conclusions I made during my study. And the first one is that the potential of multilingualism can be used in teaching, especially given that cultural capital was the most popular response for the students and the most popular reason for the students to invest into multilingual practices. This can really be used to facilitate their learning in EMI. And besides the support with EMI, also enough attention should be given to Cantonese support because as the studies, the findings evidence that they struggle a lot with their lack of linguistic capital in Cantonese. Also, the study suggests that the socialization issues, student socialization issues, can have a negative influence on the development of their social capital and on their investment experiences, which is why it also should be given enough attention to when planning different teaching activities, especially extracurricular activities. And overall, this study shown that students' language use on campus is quite dynamic and complex and can involve not only Cantonese, Putonghua, and English, but other languages, which has to be reflected at the policy level. And also the university interpretation and definition multilingualism should acknowledge the presence of different student groups and address their linguistic needs. So this brings us to the end. Thank you so much for your interest and attention. I'll be happy to hear your comments and answer any of your questions. Thank you.